The night my wife told me she needed distance, I didn't fight it. I didn't plead. I didn't even question her. And that was the one reaction she never saw coming. My name is Ryan Carter. I'm 34 years old. Up until that moment, I believed. I understood how relationships worked. I thought that if you stayed patient, loyal, and steady, everything would eventually fall into place. But sometimes, being the good guy only makes you the easiest person to overlook. Lisa and I had been married for 7 years. There were no explosive arguments, no major breakdowns, just a quiet, gradual drifting apart. It began with little things. She stopped asking about my day. She no longer sat beside me on the couch. She didn't notice the effort I was still putting in. Then it shifted into something more obvious. Late evenings out, long phone conversations, smiles at her screen, smiles I hadn't seen directed at me in a long time. I noticed all of it. Still, I kept silent. I didn't want to become that insecure, suspicious husband. Until that night, I walked in around 8 p.m. The house felt unnaturally still. Lisa was at the dining table. She wasn't eating. She wasn't working. She was just sitting there, waiting. That's when I knew something was about to happen. "We need to talk," she said. I took a seat across from her, composed. "I need some space," she added. There it was, the sentence that quietly ends everything. I gave a small nod. "Okay." She blinked. Surprised. "Okay," she repeated. Leaning back slightly, I said, "If that's what you need." Her expression changed, confusion replacing certainty. "You're not even going to ask why?" I looked straight at her. "I think I already know." Silence filled the room. "Because we both did." She lowered her gaze before finally speaking. "I just feel like I've lost myself." That line, I'd heard it before. Not from her, but in stories from other people. It always meant the same thing. I nodded once more. "Then maybe you should go find yourself." Now she seemed uneasy. This wasn't the reaction she had prepared for. "You're taking this very calmly," she said. A faint smile crossed my face. "I'm just listening." But inside, something had already shifted. Because in that moment, I realized something clearly. I wasn't in the process of losing her. I had already lost her. The following weeks were silent to silent. She began going out more often, staying out late, spending nights with friends. And I stopped asking questions, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood something important. You can't persuade someone to stay once they've already chosen to leave. One evening, she stood in the doorway again. "I think we should take a break," she said. I nodded. "Okay." She looked at me, almost irritated. "That's all." I stood up and walked past her. "You said you needed space," I replied. "So I'm giving it to you." That night, I packed a bag, not hers, mine, and I left. I didn't stay with friends. I didn't return to my parents. I rented a small apartment. It was quiet, simple, and empty, just like I felt. But here's what she didn't expect. I didn't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I didn't wait for her to call. I didn't chase her. I rebuilt. I started going to the gym, not for revenge, not to impress anyone, but for myself. I got my routine back on track, focused on my work, began saying yes to opportunities I used to ignore. Slowly, things started to change, not instantly but steadily. 3 months passed, no calls, no messages, nothing, until one evening, my phone lit up. "Lisa." I stared at the screen for a moment before answering. "Hey," she said softly. That tone, I recognized it. It was the one she used when something wasn't right. "How have you been?" she asked. "Good," I replied. A pause. "I've been thinking," she said. "Of course you have. About us." I leaned back in my chair. "I think I made a mistake." There it was. The sentence I once would have waited for. But this time, it felt different. There was no relief, only distance. "Ryan, can we meet?" she asked. I hesitated for a moment. "Okay." We met at a small cafe, the same place we used to visit years ago. She looked familiar, yet not quite the same. Less confident, less certain. She smiled when she saw me. "You look different," she said. "I am." She sat down and took a deep breath. "I miss us." I didn't respond. "I thought I needed space," she continued. But all it did was show me what I lost. Silence stretched between us. She leaned forward slightly. Can we try again? That moment, 3 months ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. But now, I looked at her and said something she never expected. I gave you the space you asked for. I said calmly, and in that time, I paused. I found myself too. Her smile slowly disappeared. What does that mean? She asked. I stood up. It means I met her eyes directly. I'm not the same man you left. Silence. And I'm not going back. She said nothing, because for the first time, she understood something clearly. The man she thought would always be there was already gone. As I walked away from that table, one truth became clear to me. Sometimes, the best thing you can do when someone asks for space is to give it completely. Because in that distance, you don't just lose them, you find yourself.